Hey everyone, it's Annette Green again with Graphic 45, and today I am featuring the die set called Policy and Decorative Dies. This has 10 pieces in this wonderful die set from Graphic 45. You can see this great little policy envelope here, a beautiful frame and some gorgeous photo corners, a few labels, and these little circles for closing the little policy envelope, which I will show you in detail. And so we are going to make 2 cards today with some Graphic 45 favorites. This is Voyage Beneath the Sea, and we're going to make a beautiful Z-fold card using some of those dies. And this is Home Sweet Home, and there's that great little policy envelope, and there's those circles I was talking about. Beautiful frame there. We're going to make this big 6x6 card here. So let's get right into it and make some cards. All right, I think we'll start with this Voyage Beneath the Sea Z-fold card. And so some supplies that you will need to make this will be, of course, the paper collection, which Voyage Beneath the Sea is a deluxe collector's edition. So you're going to get your sticker sheets in there, you're going to get your chipboard and all your papers. So you'll need that, and of course you'll need the die set that we mentioned, the policy and decorative dies. You'll need some adhesive, either tape runner or liquid glue, whatever you're fond of. A scoring board of some sort or some scoring tools, perhaps a bone folder, some scissors. If you like to ink your edges, I use some brown ink, and then a little bit of twine or ribbon. All right, to begin, you will need a card base, and we're going to go with some papers that are a little different than this original sample, just to keep it interesting and show you a little variation. So I have picked this paper. This is Steampunk Splash, and it needs to be 10 inches wide by 7 tall, and we're going to score this. I've already done so, but I will go ahead and show you again. You're going to score it with the 10 inches across the top. You're going to score it 2.5 and at 5. Okay, this will fold to be a 5 by 7. So first you want to fold it at the 5, and then you want to fold back and burnish this down, just like that. Okay, that's the beginning of the base. And then you'll need your little Z-fold part here, and that is to get this action here. And so it will be from the same paper in my case, 10 inches long by 3 inches deep, and you will score this time at 5 and at 7.5. You'll fold back at the 5 and then over with this last bit at the 7.5. I've already inked the edges. I'm ready to go, and this will eventually be put on here like so. Okay, but before we go putting that part together, we're going to decorate these panels while they're nice and flat and they're easy to get to. All right, this next step is not, it's optional. Because, you have this beautiful paper, and now I'm about to cover all of it up. But just keep that in mind when you are selecting your papers. If you're loving this one, use this one on the front. It can go either way. So for this large piece, you're going to want to cut this to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and we're going to adhere that centered right on this panel. I'm just going to use a tape runner today. Okay, and I'm just using my ruler on my glass mat to see where that 5-inch mark is, or you could ink it either way. And I'm just going to get that hopefully centered. Yeah, so normally, so that I could see that better, I would ink that one too. And let's see how I did. Pretty close. Okay, looks good. All right, so this one, these 2 are going to go here, and these measure 2 1/4 by the 6 3/4, and they're already inked and ready to go. Just kind of line these up. This card definitely would have been just as beautiful if we had switched which one was the base and which one was the foreground paper. However, you have to kind of keep in mind when you're selecting what you're going to see on the back, because you do see the back of this card, and as you can see the back of this paper, this is Mermaid Melody, it has all these cut aparts, so that might look a little funny on the other side of this card when you look at it. And you can see from my original sample, that's why I selected this particular one. This was Ocean Quest, and that worked out really well for that one. Okay, so here we are with this. And now we want to do the same with the Z-fold band. And these papers measure 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then 2 pieces at 2 1/4 by the 2 3/4. So I'll get these on here and I'll be right back. One more quick thing I like to do on the inside of my card, I always like to put a little something on this panel. See our little deep sea diver there, just as another element that you see, kind of a nice little surprise when you open up the card. So I have selected this gorgeous seahorse. This seahorse is cut from the signature page, Voyage Beneath the Sea, and it's going to go right in this area here. So let's just get him in there real quick. Okay, so that's in there and that's ready to go, and now we can put this onto here and here. Now, the thing you have to remember is you don't want to put adhesive all across the back of this one, because it's only going to get adhered to this area here, which we already know is 2 1/2 inches. So I like to just kind of grab my ruler real quick and a pencil and mark 2 1/2 inches. I'm using my little table here for the ruler, and I'm just going to make a line at 2 1/2 inches. And that way I know don't go any further than that with my adhesive for that particular panel. Again, it's this nice wide one. So I'm going to get a lot of adhesive on there, right up to that line. And then this flap over here, the 2 1/2, will also need to have adhesive all on the back of it. Just double check to make sure everything's right. Yep. So we will put adhesive over here as well. I've just flipped it around so it looks like I'm putting it in the same place I just did, but it's flipped the other way. Okay, so now we go back to the card, and with everything nice and flat, I'm going to adhere the left edge here. And then when I fold this under, this should line right up with our right edge of our card. If not, don't commit yet. What? Okay, let me pick it up and line it up better. My adhesive is super sticky, as you can tell. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. All right, so there we go. Our basic Z-fold all ready to go. We got our little guy in there, and we can start to decorate the front. I have selected the plaid side of Neptune's Adventure, which is this paper here, for this area back here behind the die. I have die cut that beautiful frame. This paper that was die cut is Deep Blue Dreams, and it's got a lot of the stripes on it. I'm going to actually put that in there and then cut around. And then this sweet little label from the die set I have cut from the yellow polka dot side of Aquatic Passage. So I have all these things ready to go and inked. So what I'm going to do, I have some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of this to make this go very quick and easy. Just peel that up and stick that right into the middle. Now this piece of paper size doesn't matter too much because we're going to cut it away, but if you wanted to know, it is 4 by 3. That's plenty of extra to cut around. And so we will grab our scissors, and I'm just going to fussy cut all around the edges about 1/8 of an inch or so out from the design. And I am not going to sweat, you know, being super perfect. I'm just going to go, and as Shari has taught you so many times in the videos for fussy cutting, for Graphic 45, the tips is just to steer the paper and squeeze the scissors. And that is very true. It works like magic. I'm not working at these scissors a lot. I'm just kind of moving the paper with my left hand to make it very easy. And there's a lot of extra little swirls in this particular die, but you know, you don't have to go around every single little detail. Just kind of a rough approximation around those details. After I get done, because I know I did this very quickly, I'm going to give it a little check and see, did I get a little too wide? Is there any place that needs a little bit of correcting? And I will make those adjustments. Okay, so, I mean, you know, it looks pretty good. A little wide there, you can fix that. But I think overall that looks pretty good. Of course, to really make that stand out, I'm going to ink those edges. All right, and then we will take this little guy that we die cut, and there is no adhesive on the back, so I'm going to grab some liquid glue. This is going to go right in the middle of the unit that we just made. I love layering up all these die cut and embellished pieces because it just adds that much more interest. Try to get that in the middle. Okay, and then we do have those two holes in that label there, but we are going to cover that up with something, maybe some stickers. My original card has the chipboard circles there and a chipboard tag here. So we're going to wait and get this on the card first before we start to layer up too much more. So we're going to get this so that it's sort of off to the right and hanging way off. And the only other thing we need to think about before we decide on the position is a border, a sticker, something going across this area. So if you remember with our card here, we have the border and we also have this great die cut border die cut. So I've got that ready. I'm going to do this nice color here. So I'm thinking that I will do, I like this one, but I like this one. I think we'll go with I love you more than all the fish in the sea. And I think we just barely can get most of those words in there. So I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut this to, the paper was 4 3/4 inside of there. I think I'm just barely going to make all the words here. Let's see. 4 3/4 is over here. So, I just made it. And this is a 3-part sticker. So I need to make up my mind right now. Do I need the scallop bottom? And I think I don't, because we're going to add that other little border, the die cut border. So we don't really need that. And I want to keep these together the best I can because I want to stick them down onto my die cut border. So let me grab that. Well, they're coming apart, so we're gonna work with it. We're not gonna fight it. And I am gonna ink the edge, believe it or not. Just this bottom edge and the side, because it is that same color blue as our die cut border. I have 2 of them here, so one of them's coming into play later. So I'm just going to get this across the bottom as straight as possible with a little bit of that fancy die cut border hanging off the bottom, like so. As you can see in our original card, just a little bit of it peeks out of the bottom there, so that's why we're putting that on there, checking it, and it's awfully crooked, so let me fix that real quick. All right, that's better. And now I'm going to ink the top half of this sticker, And we will just get that right butted to it, above it. And then we have all this extra on the sides to cut away. Cut that straight off. And then just re-ink those edges real quick. Okay, so this will go across the bottom here. And I think that will be good. Now we have a lot of adhesive already from our super sticky sticker, but I am going to add a little bit behind the die cut just so those don't get bent upwards or caught on anything going into the envelope. So just a little bit across there. And I think that's good, right about there. Okay, and then we can get this on here. And we only need adhesive on this left edge and the bottom edge. And this time, rather than measuring, I'm just going to go for it. You can always squeeze a little more glue in there. Let's see, it'll be the bottom and this side over here. So I'm just coming in about 1/2 inch to 3/4. I don't want to come in too far because I'm not sure exactly. You can always squeeze more glue in there later. So that looks good. And if I really wanted to, yeah, I could get in there with some glue, and I will real quick. And I can do the same right under here, just so there's a little more glue, oops, closer to the edges where you really need it to hold. All right, that looks good. Very nice. Okay, so we will decorate this in a minute, but let's do some easy stuff. We have this beautiful photo corner, already die cut, ready to go. Needs a little adhesive. We're going to put that up in this corner. There are 3 different photo corner styles in the die set. Some are simpler, some are a little more ornate, like this one. So I'm going to just float that up here real close to the edge of the paper, but not all the way to the edge, like that. And then we have an area here that we could put, see how we have a chipboard tag over here? So instead of a single chipboard tag this time, I think that I want to go with these square pieces of chipboard. I think that would look kind of cute and different. So I just have to decide which way I want them to turn. And I think I'll put those there. So let me get some adhesive on those real quick. All right. So that will go there. All right, that looks pretty cute, right? Okay, so we need to decide about a chipboard tag here. And I have a lot of choices. I did originally pick this. I think that's going to work out pretty well. But before I do anything, I just want to kind of get rid of those little nibs here and ink my edges. We'll get some twine in there and dress that up. And I can see that I don't have 2 more chipboard circles, so I will probably look to my sticker sheet and see if I have some circles there. I'm going to cut 2 10-inch strands of this natural twine, stack them up. I'm going to push the loop through the back, tuck the tails through the loops, pull it tight, and then I will tie this into a bow. Put that right in the middle there. Cute. Okay, and then to put 2 things here, I think these are going to be too big. There are these 2. They're cute, but even a little bit smaller are these on the other sticker sheet. So I think I'm going to use those. Okay, great. Our card front is done, looking really good. Now we need to decorate the inside, And I have this cut apart, which is from Wild Wild Waves. It's perfect for this card because you have your little journaling lines here and you can write your little message. But before we stick that down, I'm going to use another one of those border die cuts. As you can see here, I cut apart. Actually, I didn't use the border die cut. I used the frame die cut to create a little element up here, top and bottom. All right, so I have chosen this one, and I'm just going to cut this apart right down the middle. You could cut away more, it doesn't matter. You're not going to use but just that little bit hanging off the top and the bottom. Whoops. And you can put this on the back of this, is what I want to do instead of putting it on here first. So let's lay this down. And this already has adhesive on the back. Just get this nice and squared up on my ruler grid. And I'm going to come up right about there and press. Okay. Same thing with the bottom. Okay. So that just dresses that up just a little bit rather than all those square edges on that journaling card. Now we just have to peel up this backing on the back of this die. And it's ready to go inside. And I'm just going to center it basically on this panel that's kind of exposed here. I think that'll be fine. Before I press too hard, I'll just give it a little check. Looks good. And then I'll press it down. Okay, now back to this area here. I noticed now that I'm looking at my other sample that I continued the use of the border, the die cut border. That's why I have another one here. And I also continued the use of the border stickers. So I'm going to trim up those border stickers and get those ready. They are each going to be 2 1/4 inches long, just like the papers that are on here. So let me cut those and get those ready. All right, I do have my stickers on the borders, and I ink the edges just like we did before. I'm going to add a little bit of glue just on this bottom die cut edge. Okay. All right, that looks pretty darn good. Okay, so there is one option that we could do if we wanted. And as I was looking at the sticker sheet, we do have all those little scallop pieces left. And if you really wanted to, you could use those on the tops instead of at the bottom. I think it fits. I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of want to do it. I think I'm going to do it. All right, so this is my little 2 1/4 piece. Because you know, when I cut them earlier, I cut all the way through. So these are already cut and ready to go. So I'm going to pop that one on there. I think that's cute. I think it dresses it up. Okay, wow, yes, that really dressed it up nicely, right? Really cool. Okay, just a few little things we want to do is to add a little dimension inside of here with maybe just one little easy fussy cut item. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera so as not to bore you, and I will be right back. One important thing you want to keep in mind when you are trying to select something that will go in this area is when the card closes, will you see it? And you do see mine a little bit here. That's not too bad, but you also want to make sure it doesn't come off of your card so that your card doesn't fit in an envelope anymore. So I forgot about that, and I went and cut out this wonderful mermaid, and I was going to put her in there, but then as I went to close it, I realized she came way off the edge and she shows way off the top here, and it looks a little funny, so I traded her out for this little steampunk lady. And still she looks a little funny and she kind of sticks out a little bit, so here's an alternative. After you ink the edges, you can always put her down here, which is what I want to do. I'm going to grab my little spatula. You could use like a credit card or even like a piercing tool just to kind of raise up that sticker just in that little area. And I think I want to add her down here like that. And then that way when it closes, she's not showing. I'm going to move her over just a little bit more. But she still kind of pops up. Looks cute. Just a little more. And then I will get a little glue behind her back here. So that's a fun option, and then you can add a little bit more behind her using some small elements, which I think would be great. So I'm going to put this little steampunk gear. It had a little fish tail, so we're going to hide that. I used circle punch. We'll go like that. Just kind of check it. Looks good. And then I also fussy cut out a couple of pieces of some kind of seaweed, and I think that would be cute over here. So I'll just get some adhesive on those. And you notice I'm putting this adhesive, of course, on the front sides because I'm gluing up underneath here. I got a little bit longer piece here. Again, I want to check it. Ooh, I just made it with that one, so I don't want to put one to the left of that. I want to make sure it's to the right of that one. Maybe coming up right next to that guy. Okay, that looks pretty good. All set. All right, so we will move on now to our Home Sweet Home card, but this is our Z-fold card number 2 and number 1 using those new dies. Okay, for our Home Sweet Home 6x6 tall card, and it's a tint card, so it opens bottom to top this way, and we have this little tuck pocket and of course our little policy envelope. We are going to use different papers once again, and so we're going to start with this is from Home Sweet Home, the signature page. Now this is the inside, which that would be a little bit weird, right? So I'll teach you a little something. But before we get too far, the additional items that you'll need to make this card, which are optional, I can show you some other ways, but if you're going to set eyelets in your little policy envelope like I did here, you will need 2 eyelets, which I have selected these little pewter ones for this card. I used red on the other, and then you'll need a crocodile tool. Okay, so first we're going to work on that inside because we really don't want this to be the inside. So something that you can do is when you cut this 6x12, you can go over to the very left edge and also cut the border that's over there into 2 pieces of 6. Okay, this is about 1 inch wide each. And we're going to just glue that right back on there. And you want to make sure that you can still fold. So what I would do is I would shave just a hair off of that 6 at the bottom here for the top piece. And I will do the same for the bottom piece, the top of the bottom piece. Just shave a little bit off so you can still get that fold. And of course, when you go to glue it in, maybe even fold the card a little bit to make sure, and just make sure everything lines up. So now we could have covered this whole inside with just paper. That's fine. but I thought I would share this little technique with you. I mean, this border is great, so let's use it, right? Okay, we'll do the same at the top. Okay, so now we have that, and it folds closed perfectly. I don't need to trim anything off the top or the bottom. Looks pretty good. Okay, so to cover up that inside gal, I hate to do it to her, but I have pre-cut 2 pieces of this paper. This is from Garden Fresh, and these measure 4 3/8 by 5 1/8 roughly, and I'm going to get those in here. So let me do that real quick and I'll be right back. All right, that looks good. And of course we have to have something to write our little sentiment, so we have this little cut apart from My Sunshine, the page. But rather than just putting that all by itself in there, I think I want to get a little border sticker. So I have peeled off this one, and instead of also taking that second part to that, I'm going to just skip on down to the pretty scallop border. And I'm going to ink the edge of that as well. So this has been cut to that same width. I believe it was 4 3/8, same as this paper. Cute. And then this already has adhesive, so we will have that come down and overlap a little bit. You could put it above it, but I think it looks interesting to have it overlap a little bit. Okay, so there is the inside of our card. It is done, and now we can work on the front. The paper I selected is Farmer's Market, and it measures 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. That's going to go right in the center. Okay, and then the band is this cut apart border. It's about 1.5 inches tall by the 5 1/2 as well. And this is going to be a little tuck band. We don't want to adhere it all the way down, but most of it on the sides we want to adhere it. So we will be putting adhesive on the ends so we can tuck in our little policy thing. But first, rather than cutting a piece of paper like this, now this is an alternative, of course, to fussy cutting. You can just cut a big rectangle and put it in there. And if you like that idea, the size of this rectangle is 2 1/2 by 5. But for this one, just to make it a little different, I went ahead and fussy cut this. It is different than the one on this paper. This paper over here is Garden Fresh, but this was fussy cut from the signature page, Home Sweet Home. So I want to get that over here. I also know that I have die cut these photo corners. This is the simpler design that has just 5 dots or so. So I know I'm going to put those up there. I just want to decide, do I want my little fussy cut to come in front? And I think I do. So I want to get these on here first then. These were cut also from Garden Fresh, but using the red side of the paper, the little red pattern. Okay, and we just want to make sure this is over here to the left a little bit, like so. So get a bunch of adhesive on that. In case I didn't mention it at the beginning, this is art glitter glue, which is a favorite amongst crafters. You can certainly use your favorite glue or tape runner if you prefer. Edge a little bit here, and this one to show up over top of our little photo corner. So that's cute. All right, so now we can put this on, and of course that leaf hanging off the edge really doesn't make any sense now, does it? So I'm going to snip that off because it looks a little funny sticking out, because we're about to cover it up with this. So let's get some adhesive just on about 1/2 inch of each end. You can always squeeze in a little more. I did do that on my last one after I made sure I had plenty of room for my policy envelope. And I'm going to come up about 1/2 inch or so. Great. Now we will work on the little policy envelope to go in that pocket or that little band. I've gone ahead and die cut it all out. This paper is Country Life and I want to see the green side. So I have it all prepared. I have inked all the edges, and the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put our little circle reinforcers on here. So I have found with experience that if you just die cut one circle and then you put it on there, it's very hard to get any kind of thread or string under there. And we do want to put about 8-inch piece of thread under here, or string or something. So what I like to do is actually die cut a piece of the cardboard packaging from the paper collection. I do that twice. Okay, so I have two, got a little extra over here. Okay, so I have two from the packaging, and then one of each of the two different styles from the paper. Okay, so what I want to do first is reinforce the paper one with a little cardboard one just to make it stronger, because just paper is a little bit flimsy if you're really going to, you know, open this little envelope open and closed a lot. And just ink the edges if you don't get it lined up perfectly. This is the one that has a little scalloped edge, so that's a little tricky to line up perfectly, very quickly anyway. Okay, and then we'll do the same with this one that is perfectly round. So this has just made it nice and sturdy and thick. Then the little trick to just kind of raising it up a little bit is to then go back to one of those cardboard ones and cut it just a little smaller. So I'm just kind of shaving off. See how I'm taking off just a little bit of that outside edge? Yes, you could just punch a small circle if you have different punches, but while I was die cutting, I just went ahead and did this. And this by no means has to be a perfect circle, because this is going underneath and you're not going to see it, and all it's going to do is lift your circle up just enough that your thread can pass under there easily when you're winding it around. And I'm doing this to both of the circles. Okay, you can see it does not need to be perfect. And at this point it doesn't matter which one it goes behind, because you've cut away that little scallop edge. Okay, so you can take your thread. I put a little glue around this back of this hole. I get my thread underneath there, just one of them. Put a little bit more glue, and then I will take one of these cardboard circles and line up the hole, and either hold that or clip that for just a few minutes, because it has the twine under there. Looking for a clip. Here we go. This is a really big clip for this, but I'm going to clip it and set that one aside. And then this one just needs the other reinforced circle piece. All right, so I'll let that dry for just a second, and then we'll get our eyelets going in there. All right, so now we have our little envelope, and we have this little hole on the side over here, and we're going to line up our die cut circle. We're going to put an eyelet right through all the layers. I like to keep this nice and flat, and then I grab my crocodile. I have it set properly for the small eyelet size, and I give it a little squeeze. Now let me just check it. Looks good. Okay, and then we want to put the one on top, and that would be this guy with the string. Again, line everybody up, put in the eyelet, hold it tight. Okay, looks good. Looks good. If you wanted to, you could always put a piece of tape across there. I don't feel like it's going to be necessary. I think we're okay. So now we can seal this up, and you have to make sure that this is on the outside and then this will come up. So let's get some adhesive on here. I'm just going to come down, let's see, about 1/2 of an inch. And we're going to glue that down. Not too much glue, you don't want it to seep out in here in your envelope. And then of course we'll seal up the bottom. Okay. Now before we close it up, I did want to show you that I I actually cut out from my Sunshine. This is a little smaller than 3x4. It's about 2.5 by 3.5. I put a little sticker on each side as a little pull tab, and this fits really nicely down in here for another secret little message, or you could even add a gift card in there with a note, anything you like there. So we'll wait to put that inside. We want to make sure our glue is nice and dry in there. So let's decorate the outside. And if you remember, the one before it looked like this. So we do have another pretty frame border all die cut and ready. I'm going to just peel and stick this down right in the center. And then this time I picked tomatoes instead of peas. This great cut apart comes from the Country Life page. There's one that says carrots too. They're all great. And I think that we can put this inside now. I think it's dry. Feels good. And then we can gently, because I'm not sure, 100% sure that that glue is dry fully under there. But I think it is. I'm not going to tug on it real tight on camera, so we got a little bit of extra here. We don't need quite that much. So that is cute, and that will fit here. And you see how it's pretty loose. So I am going to add a little bit of adhesive over here. And also I want to put something down here. And I think it's going to be this particular chipboard tag. I've already got some twine tied into a bow. This sort of seals off the bottom right corner a little bit as well, so the tag or the policy envelope doesn't fall all the way through the bottom. So that helps that. And then knowing that this is going to be here, we want to be careful we don't stick it in there too far just yet because of the glue on the back of this chipboard. But I do know that I could come in with a little bit more glue over here. This is just an option. I have this out, and I guess maybe I was going to add that up here. So let's see. I don't want to stick this in here until this glue is completely dry yet. So I don't know that we need this element. It's cute and all, but I think I'm going to not use it. And I'm going to call this finished. Yeah, looks good. So this one is peas, and this one is tomato, and those are done. So that was pretty simple and super easy using those dies from Graphic 45. All right, that's it for me today. We have these wonderful 6x6 cards with Home Sweet Home. We have 2 Z-fold cards using Voyage Beneath the Sea, and everything was made possible using the wonderful Policy and Decorative die set from Graphic 45. Don't forget, you can get all your favorite Graphic 45 supplies through your local scrapbook stores, and if you don't have one of those, you can always order online directly from Graphic 45 at G45papers.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day, and happy paper crafting.